Yes, it is. Greeny with you, back and better than ever as we roll along into this holiday weekend. And again, just in advance, wishing you and yours a very safe, healthy, happy 4th. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. And as you heard mentioned there, we will have PJ coming up in about a half hour or so here on the Goodyear Hotline. Certainly we'll talk about the NBA playoffs with him, which have been sort of a rough go in so many different ways. Just the nightmare that it has become from an injury standpoint. And then I'm told that he called the guys he wanted to get in on the name, image, and likeness conversation that we've been having. So we'll talk with him about that. I wonder to what degree he's now so associated, PJ, with the NBA. People may forget. Guy was a great college coach. Had Seton Hall in the national championship game, really lost on a questionable call in overtime in the title game to Michigan. That was the pre-Fab Five group. That was the Michigan team that won with Glenn Rice and Ramil Robinson and those guys. 89, I want to say it was. So PJ's got some interesting thoughts on that, and we'll get to it. We opened with the NBA playoffs today, and what I basically said was, I'm frustrated because I love this stuff. And it's become so difficult to watch and to get into it because you're not seeing any of the best players, and there's no one to blame. Like, I don't blame anyone. The compressed second half of the schedule, I don't accept that as a problem for two reasons. One, they did what they had to do. Two, I don't think it's the reason for most of these injuries. The compressed second half of the schedule didn't have anything to do with the way Giannis landed the other night. It didn't have anything to do with Kyrie Irving turning an ankle in traffic. It didn't have anything to do with Trae Young stepping on the foot of a referee. It didn't have anything to do, Kawhi Leonard gets hurt all the time. Anthony Davis gets hurt all the time. I can't sit here and tell you the compressed second half of the schedule. Davis didn't even play the second half of the season, and Kawhi load manages all year. So I don't think those guys were exhausted. So I'm not blaming Adam for any of that, and I'd be the first one to do it. Lord knows I've gotten my share of, back and forth with those guys over there with the things that I disagree with. I don't disagree with this. They had to have a season. You don't just give all the money back. You have a season. So I have no problem with them jamming as much as they could into it, and it was what it was. You live with the results, and I'm not sure these are the results. I think what we are getting is just extremely bad luck. I think just at a time when they could least afford it because of where everything stands, you've just had a postseason where you've had unprecedented injury. The most All-Stars ever to miss a postseason game in a single postseason is 6. I want to make sure that I'm making that clear. You understand. In any one given NBA playoff season, the most All-Stars that have ever missed a game in that postseason is 6. This year we've had 10, and that doesn't include Trae Young because he didn't make the All-Star team. So it's really 11. It's almost double the number that we've ever had before, the maximum we've ever had before. So unless Hembo or Nuno or Bubba, anyone wants to tell me I'm missing something, I think it's just incredibly bad luck, and I'm just sitting here mad, and I have no one to be mad at.
And you don't think there are any modifications they could make to the playoffs that could change this? You think this is just a stroke of bad luck that 10 different guys over the course of the last month got hurt?
I do. Look, what modification are you making to the playoffs that Trae Young isn't stepping on the foot of a referee?
If that game wasn't played, if the first round game was a best of 3 and the second was a best of 5 and the third was a best of 7, just as an example.
Now, it used to be that way. No, yes, obviously you're going to have fewer injuries the fewer games that you play.
Right.
But the NBA has now built itself into a place where the postseason is so overwhelmingly. Look, what Hembo is bringing up, and we mentioned it earlier, May 21st is when Steph Curry's season ended. Steph Curry hasn't played a game since May 21st. We haven't even gotten to the finals yet. The finals, I think if they go the maximum, I think I have this right. I think Game 7 would be July 21st. Do I have that right? I think that's right. I think July 21st is when Game 7 would be scheduled for. And that would be 2 months exactly since Steph Curry played his last game. And he played in the play-in tournament. So you got guys whose seasons ended like May 15th. And there are others who are going to be playing well past July 15th. So it's just, I get that it's long, but I think one of the things that has historically made it great is that it's long. Like, I'm old enough to remember when the playoffs were not nearly this long, when there was one less row, when they were best of 3 in the first round, when it was best of 5. So I remember all of that. Was that better? What I like about this is that the grueling nature of it does give you a fully legit, satisfying champion every year. Like the champion. So this one year, maybe we're going to look at it and say, well, they would have won and they would have won and they would have won. But at least it is the team that survived the gauntlet. Like part of winning a championship is getting to the finish line. And if indeed it is Phoenix and they wind up beating the Lakers without AD and the Nuggets without Jamal Murray and the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard and the Bucks without Giannis, so be it. Part of the game, I guess, is getting to the finish line healthy.
What if you gave him like a week, 10 days off between the regular season and the playoffs? Would that help anything?
I don't know. Like I don't know. Like there's so much in a normal circumstance, like the playoffs, that first round stretches itself out so long.
What if we played 10-minute quarters?
So we're not changing that, obviously. We're not making changes to the game. Mm-hmm. Could you change the playoff structure? Sure.
Yeah.
Nuno, would you be in favor of changing the playoff structure?
No, because I don't think, again, as you've been saying, we talk about, like, these injuries for the most part haven't been based upon the fact or because it's been so condensed. You know, the schedule's been condensed. It's just been freak accidents, right? It's Kyrie's going up for a rebound and Giannis gets in his way. Like, it's that type of thing. I think why you're probably angry, and just thinking about it too right now, is you have the Bucks Hawks. Normally it would have been a great story if they beat healthy teams to get here, but now we're dealing with teams who we don't really want to watch, and now we're watching without their stars. That makes
both.
it worse. I think that's why you're so a little angry at yourself.
I'm all good. I'm not angry at myself. Let's be clear. This is definitely not my fault.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, as I said earlier, the worst thing in life to be is angry at yourself. The second worst thing is to be angry and have no one to blame. And I think we're angry here and we have no one to blame. I'm happy to see Milwaukee getting there. I think it's wonderful. I've said many times, I think it's wonderful when stars like Giannis stay on their teams in small markets. It makes the sport stronger. It is the fence that is only as strong as its weakest
link
chain.
You almost got it.
I almost had it. I can never get that right. But the point, you know what I'm trying to say. But the Bucks without Giannis, not that much fun. The Hawks without Trey, not that much fun. So that's where we stand right now. Meanwhile, one other thing.
The Scoop.
The Clippers fall short. Kawhi Leonard's future, I think, will become interesting. And if you're wondering, is it worth going out and trying to get a great player? Well, just consider. The Phoenix Suns are in the finals in their first year with Chris Paul. The Miami Heat made the finals in their first year with Jimmy Butler. The Toronto Raptors made the finals in their 1 year with Kawhi Leonard. Nuno, do you want Kawhi?
I would take him because I do think he's a cultural changer.
Now, how'd the culture work out in the Clippers this year? Like, what part of the culture did you think?
Injuries, right?
But last year they got knocked out way before they were supposed to, and the whole
but
world
I have
was
more of
making
an
fun of
asterisk.
them.
I would put more of an asterisk on what happened last year versus this year
Because of the bubble.
because of the bubble.
Fair enough. That's fair. So you want him. If Kawhi becomes a thing, and I don't think coming to New York is going to be a thing, but I've heard Miami, I've heard other possibilities, right? Is your sense that Kawhi is not a lock to come back to the Clippers, is what I'm trying to say.
It's definitely not a lock. He has a player option. Paul George is set there for life practically. And obviously a healthy and an activated Kawhi Leonard is one of the best 5 players on the planet. And Kawhi Leonard or not Kawhi Leonard is a massive difference for a bunch of teams. If he winds up being a free agent, it will be a huge story. And I don't think it will be tampered down by the fact that he just missed the end of the playoffs.
Actually, if you missed the beginning of the show today, we did the healthy bracket, which is we went back and replayed the playoffs and gave you a winner of every series if they had been healthy. And our final 4 would have been Hawks, Nets, Clippers, Lakers, and then we had the Nets beating the Clippers for the championship. If you missed that, or if you missed anything on the program, a reminder, we stream live every single day on ESPN Plus, which means it lives all day. You can check in. You can watch anytime you want. Also, we're a podcast. #Greeny is the name. You can find both shows posted every single day as a podcast. It's available wherever you listen to your podcasts. In the meantime, next up, it's time for Bubba. We'll do Who You Got right after this. Then PJ is on the way. You need to hear what Jalen had to say today. We are jam-packed. Stay close. It's Greeny on ESPN.